Howdy folks, how are y'all doing? Rees here, welcome back to another episode of our Tekkit 2 Let's Play Adventure, where you'll notice everything is a little bit tidied up in here after last time, after the debacle that was the previous installment. But before we go any further, I wanted to address really quickly that we have updated to 1.0.3, which has removed EMC values from even more items, and the reasoning given was that they were trying to stay more in line with what Tekkit was in Tekkit Classic. Now, I'm not happy about this. I love EMC. It is the currency of the world. I think every object should have EMC. I love it. But I do understand the reasoning, and even though you can revert it, you can always assign your own values. I'd prefer not to. I want to stick with the spirit of the pack, and that is determined by the pack maker, in this case, XJohn and the Technic team. So we want to roll with that. We're going to stick with that. I'm not sure what all has been removed. Maybe I'm crazy. I seem to remember that golden pipes had an EMC value last time, but they do not. Strangely, the one pipe that does and is in here is the stone kinesis pipe, and I'm sure other pipes... Well, I said that. I guess other pipes don't. Yeah, it looks like the cobblestone and the stone kinesis pipes are the only two that still have an EMC value, and I have to assume that that is a mistake, that the intention was to get rid of the values, and they just didn't on those two. It is unfortunate because I try to make my videos combination tutorial, combination let's play, and the problem with playing a pack when it's, you know, fresh out the gate like this is that every update changes something, and the previous video you made is now a little bit out of date. I think that after maybe a month from now or so, when the updates have calmed down and everything's sort of settled, I might do a second pass. No let's play, straight tutorial, just raw, this is a Tekkit guide, walking through all of these things, as it exists in version 1.0.7 or whatever we land on. But for right now, we're going to carry on in 1.0.3, and today we're going to be talking about generating EMC. Now, when it comes to EMC, it is the currency of the world, and much like a real-life currency, you can get it by exchanging goods for paper that we pretend has value. In this case, we exchange our goods for something that does actually have value, EMC. I need to charge that down, and actually maybe not have it in my inventory for the rest of the video. Oh, you tell it what? The destruction catalyst no longer has an EMC value. But it stores EMC. Okay. Anyway, moving along. EMC is energy generated from matter, and it can be put back into matter. E equals MC squared, EMC, you get where this is going. See, the way we've been doing it is we've been taking items and converting that into EMC to make other items. But we can actually get EMC from energy, from the sun. And that is the proper way of doing it, using things like energy collectors, relays, and condensers. And that's the first thing we're going to do. But there is actually another way. It's one that has existed for years now. It will probably not be removed, because this is a classic in the original Tekkit. It was a classic in pretty much every single version that's come out since. What happens if you take a Blazerod and you run it through a Macerator? Because normally, a Blazerod, if you look at its uses, it will give you 2, and it's not, oh, there it is. It'll give you 2 blaze powder. Which, if you have a look at the Blazerod, you have a look at 2 blaze powder. If you look at the stack EMC, they are the same, and that makes sense. It's equivalent exchange. But if you macerate it, you get 3, which is what we've just done. Which means for every Blazerod that you macerate, you're effectively getting 768 free EMC. So, I mean, yeah, we could just grab a few stacks, maybe a couple of stacks. We could come back over here, and while our macerator's not being used for anything, we could just go ahead and run these, and that's fine, and that works, but there's a way to automate that, and that's what we're going to do after we do things the proper way. So that's the setup, that's the discussion of what we're doing today. Oh, wait a minute! All that stuff that was up here is in the basement now. Yeah. We have a basement now. That was supposed to be cleaner. Let's try again. Hold on. No, wait. Yeah. Dang it. Hold on. Yeah. We have a basement now. See, that was perfect. That was fantastic. This is our basement. It's built right underneath our house. It doesn't go all the way that direction, but it will. As I fill in the ground above here, we can expand it out that way. We have, of course, this is where our little room was, where we can look out at our quarry, which, in case you were wondering, is coming along quite nicely. It's chugging. It is currently at level 14, and oh my gosh, it's digging into one of my tunnels! This is one of my mining tunnels! This is fantastic! That's amazing! That means we're gonna see more of my strange pathways being... Oh my gosh, yeah, look, here we are! This is where that crafting table I built way back in episode 0 is and all that. How much fun is that? So the quarry is coming along quite nicely. I also moved, and we're gonna be using this today, we'll see whether or not this setup works, our assembly table here, as well as our laser. I moved all of this down here. Still don't know what to do about the rock crusher. That episode will not come out for me until day after tomorrow. So hopefully you folks will have some comments on that. And then, uh-oh. Why is that not hooked up? You're supposed to be making me more steel. Oh my gosh, wait, where's the steel? Oh my, wait, where is the steel though? This thing has been running for a long time. Where's the steel? Oh, where's my wrench? Did my wrench have an EMC value and now it doesn't and I got rid of it? Oh, Shrek me. Uh-oh. Wait a minute, I'm starting to realize something else is missing here. No gears anymore! Really? Oh, those are the most annoying things to build! Oh my gosh, that is dumb. I'm losing my patience with these changes. These are silly. Again, I'm gonna stick with them, because it's, you know, mod pack author's intent. But it's very dumb. Watch the actual issue be that they no longer allow these to connect together or something like that. Okay, there we go. So those should work properly now. Am I not getting steel out of this for some reason? What's going on here? Steel is still in the game, and it is still generated by using a blast furnace. Iron ingot. Steel ingot. What? Why? Hello? By the way, I emptied out all the creosote and put it in this chest over here before I moved these machines down here. There's better ways of storing liquid creosote. We'll get to that in the future, possibly. But where's all of my steel? I'm very concerned. Might have to make some sort of an automatic export on this. Oh! Oh, it's gone. What? Where did it go? There... No! Ah! This one's going in the wrong direction. So I guess it's been dumping it all into here and it's just being lost. Alright, you know what? Let's focus on what I intended to focus on this episode. Before this episode ends up being like the last episode. EMC generation. The first thing we're going to want to build is an energy collector, which fortunately still does have an EMC value. We need glowstone, we need glass, we need a block of diamond, and we need a furnace. I suppose we could view this as the game forcing us to get more creative about generating items. Maybe now is the time to build a giant factory to manufacture things like gears for us. But we now have our energy collector, and using the energy collector is as simple as taking it outside, placing it in direct sunlight, plopping it on the ground, and having a look inside. And as you can see, that number right there is EMC. And it's going to slowly start ticking up. And what we can do now is we can come inside and we can say, you know what? I really want that thing to generate stone. I don't know why you would want it to generate stone, but maybe you do. So you take it outside, and then you try to put your stone in here, and you go, wait a minute, that's not doing anything. Well, of course it's not, you knucklehead. This is just collecting sunlight. You gotta move it over into something like a energy condenser. Now, we have built an energy condenser before. It is obsidian, it is diamond, and an alchemical chest, which is just all the various covalence dusts, diamond, cobble, you know the drill. But because we've built it before, and it still has an EMC value, we can just get it out. So I just had some technical issues. I've kind of reset back a few seconds, but as you can see here, we have this currently, you can tell I've already done it once. But we place our energy condenser next to the energy collector, which is currently generating quite a bit of EMC, and it doesn't look like anything's happening, but if we take our cobblestone and put it in there, we'll see that that EMC is now going directly into our condenser, and goodness gracious, it's making a whole lot of stone. But we don't want it to do that. That is silly. What you would actually want to use this for is generating, let's say, diamonds, maybe? And I should note that this is tier 1, but if we have a look at our uses, we can turn it into a tier 2, which has 12 EMC per tick, as opposed to 4. And if we make it tier 3, it's 40 EMC per tick, as opposed to 12. That's a huge leap forward. Now, it's also very costly, but, I mean, imagine how much stone you could make like that. So I have just enough EMC right now to get 3 energy collectors total. And we're going to do that. We're also going to grab something that is reasonable in price. Oh, no, don't tell me. Oh, of course, we don't have any EMC left, so... shoot, what is reasonable in price that I currently have in my possession? What? Swiftwolf Trending Gale doesn't have an EMC value anymore either. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, thank goodness. Well, our blaze rods are done turning into blaze powder, so that should restore a ton of EMC, and we can now get, let's say Aethernalis fuel, or you know what, we can go for diamond. I don't know why I go for Aethernalis fuel. I guess it does have the same EMC value. I'm not sure why it's my go-to for this. But now we can configure these in such a way that we can have a little semicircle surrounding our energy condenser, and we can have it start creating diamonds. Now, that's going to take a while, but it is working. Let's go a little bit further with it. Now that we have all those Blazerod-EMC, we can take a couple more of these, and we could plop one on top, we could plop one in front, and you might be thinking, well, geez, that's got to be as good as it gets, right? Well, no, that's where the relays come into play. But first off, let's make sure we can actually access... not necessarily the basement. I just wanted to be able to access this chest and view how quickly we are generating diamonds. As I was saying, we can go further. That is where the antimatter relay comes in. Obsidian, a diamond block, and glass. Big old U, little glass on top, diamond in the middle. Teach that to our system. And then I got 30 blaze rods out because I'm getting kind of desperate. We need more EMC for the rest of this episode. Now, with the sun setting, you might be wondering, wait a minute, these things condense light into energy, right? And you would be right, but they don't actually seem to be bothered. Even though it's dark, it still shows full sun. Now, the texture could be bugged, and it just stopped running, but no, it's still running. See, back in the day, what we would do is we would take glowstone blocks and place them on top of these, and that would give them a constant, unyielding supply of light, but it doesn't appear as though that's necessary anymore. Maybe they produce their own light? Maybe the torch is doing something? Maybe they're bugged. I can't say. Looks like they're working fine, though. In any case, I would like to move this demonstration, so I'm going to have it generate a couple of Mobius fuel instead, so we're not missing out on an almost diamond's worth of EMC, well, almost half a diamond's worth. And we're going to take these items with us. I'm going to patch up the floor here, and we're going to move our festivities over yonder. I still don't know whether or not those folks, or whatever's going on down there, whether or not that's all good, wholesome, above board, or whether or not they're going to come try to kill us. So I think we're going to move EMC generation down here, where we can keep it secret and keep it safe. So we're going to elevate our energy condenser up a bit, and then we're going to put a energy collector back on top. And now it's not too pleased. I guess it is currently being blotted out by the fact that there's a roof above it, but let's see if we can't fix that. So this thing's pretty bummed about being in the dark, but if we throw some glowstone on top, it's perfectly happy again. It's counting up way faster. Now, what is the story with this antimatter relay that we built? What is it all about? Well, it is all about cramming more collectors onto a single energy condenser. So we're gonna drop it down next to the energy condenser, and then what it does is it relays or reroutes from these into the condenser. So we can surround this thing with collectors, and it will take the energy from all of them, from all the different sides, and of course they're not working at, oh, well, they are working at peak efficiency. Well, of course they're working at peak efficiency. There's a glowstone right here. They don't all need one on top of it. That's the way we used to do it. Well, if we open this up now, when we tell it, hey, make us a diamond, oh, yeah, that's going noticeably faster, isn't it? Now, granted, there is currently being a lot dumped in there from here, because this had to empty itself out, all of these. They store a certain amount themselves, and they had to get all emptied out. But still, look at that number go up. And you can imagine, if we had another relay on each side, and even more collectors, where we might be going with this. Oh, the quarry stopped. I'm assuming we ran out of fuel? We do not have enough to get them all back up and running. But, you know what I realized with our quarry setup? Is that I neglected to pipe automatically the products of the electric furnace back into our energy condenser. And I probably should have done that instead of having them come out into a chest. Oh, wow! Hot dang! Okay, well, you know what? Let's move all of that over here. We could use that right now for our own nefarious crafting needs. But if we put it all inside of here... Oh, wowzers. Okay, cool. Yeah, I would say that the machine definitely has the ability to be self-sustaining. Only barely. Well, actually, I don't know. It's building up the Aeternalis fuel. That's the thing with quarries, is you will get EMC out of them, but it's at its best when it gets down to the lower depths and it starts picking up the really valuable items. Like, that's where you start finding the diamonds and the falling into this hole is getting old nows. And, I mean, look, I haven't even sorted through redstone and lapis lazuli yet, so we need to add those right here and get those going to where they should be going over here. And then, look, that's going to contribute to more Aeternalis fuel like crazy! So how are we doing over here? Well, we got our first diamond, and we are well on our way to the second. Now, a question you might be wondering with these is there benefit to putting a energy collector onto the bottom of a relay? Will that actually work? Will it produce any EMC? And honestly, the only way I know to test that, because I've always done it and assumed that it worked. Yeah, you know what? It's not going very fast, probably owing to the fact that it's not getting a lot of sunlight underneath there. So I definitely would not prioritize putting one on the bottom. I would say once you have an entire flower assembled and it's producing, you know, a hella big stacks of EMC, then at that point you're probably good to go ahead and add a few more to the bottoms, just because it does contribute a little bit, and if you have a lot of spare EMC, why not? But for the most part, like especially early on, focus on getting the top ones. Now, one thing I did want to point out is I've seen a lot of people over the years put an antimatter relay on top of the chest, and there's no reason whatsoever to do that, because the reason to use the antimatter relay is so that you can connect up more energy collectors, right? So for one of these, we can get one on the side, one on the top, one to the front, one to the back, one to the bottom. Here, you know, like this one is already connected to the relay below it, as will the one that eventually goes up here, the one that goes in the front here, the one that goes in the back. There's no reason for those to be collected to a relay in this position. Adding a relay does not allow you to collect more EMC, not to the top. It just extends where this energy collector is up one. There's no benefit to it whatsoever. You can have this energy collector connect up directly to the condenser. Adding a relay to the top is just a waste of EMC, and literally it does not benefit you at all in any way. So I don't recommend it. We've got 2 diamonds now, though. That's cool. Our alchemical bag no longer has an EMC value either. That is... things are getting progressively sad. Raw basalt doesn't, though. Like, it never did, but I'm really thinking that limestone and basalt should have EMC values. They absolutely should. It's not like they have any great use, other than to be... I'm looking at uses, and they can be turned into limestone spelithium? I don't even know how to pronounce that. The basalt is equally useless. I think that these should have just like 1 EMC, same as stone and cobblestone and all that. Hop to it, X-John! Get it done! Well, folks, I've made an interesting discovery. I'm trying to generate enough EMC to finish out the power flower, or solar flower, whichever name you have for it, which is where you completely surround an energy condenser with the relays and the collectors. And dusts now have an EMC value, and they are the equivalent of their ore counterparts, meaning that if you're just going for EMC, you no longer need to smelt these. You can just run them through your macerator, and the raw dusts will be EMC, and that is strange. Of all the things that they've changed in this pack, that's the weird one to me. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But again, it's just another case of, well, I guess previous episodes of this series are now out of date, because you no longer need to... I mean, even the Quarry, that was, what, 3 episodes ago on 1.0.2? I'm pretty sure we still had to have a furnace at that point, but we can get rid of that furnace now, and we can just have it come out of the macerator and go directly into the energy condenser if we wanted. Not all ores, though. Crushed aluminum ore still needs to be ran through. What is the decision-making process behind this pack, I wonder? Or was that just an oversight? I'm assuming that. I need to get on this Discord they're always talking about where these decisions are apparently made. So the quarry is about finished. It's really close to the bottom now. And I went ahead and grabbed all of the Aeternalis fuel that it's produced out. Although that's not all of it, because we do have all of this over here. So I suppose if we wanted to be fair, we'd say that it produced... And keep in mind, I've been pulling Aeternalis fuel out of here in order to fuel these machines and that generator down there. So it's produced a lot more than the... Looks like it's kind of probably end up being, what, 36? That it has so far. It's produced a lot more than that. I'm pulling these out right now, though, because I need them to finish up this operation. In fact, I think I only need one more energy collector, and I will show you where we're at down here. So this is the last one we're going to be putting on for now, and like I said before, you can add more collectors to the bottom of your relays. They won't run as efficiently because they won't be getting full sunlight, but you can do it if you just have a whole bunch of EMC to spare. You could also put glowstone on the top of every single one of these collectors, but they're all getting full sunlight just by virtue of having that one glowstone, even these at the furthest extremities, and then there's no point in putting a relay on top. It's just really not going to benefit you any. But if we have a look inside of there now, and I've also been pilfering diamonds out of here to speed things along, it's moving quite quickly. So this is the more or less official and endorsed method of generating free energy. It might seem very cheaty, and that's because it is. A lot of people dislike this aspect of Tekkit and Project E. They dislike that you can build something in your basement, or any other room of your house, or even just right outside where a creeper can get to it, that just generates diamonds from nothing. And this is a pretty simple setup. If you wanted to make a full solar flower or power flower with MK3 collectors and MK3 relays, you're generating diamonds in no times flat. And if you have a whole room full of them, it can get nuts, which I suspect is why EMC has been removed from many of the recipes in the pack, is to try to balance that out some, sort of force you to have to manually collect some items, construct some items, farm some items. For me, though, that's kind of part of the pack. Freely generating things is what the Tekkit experience is about. I feel like that's... Other mod packs exist, and if you're looking for a challenge, you can go play one of those. But for me, it's nice that you don't have to worry about the items. It's more so in Tekkit because you have Project E, and you can eventually get to a point where you have 3 dozen of those things churning out red matter. You can just focus on your cool builds and not necessarily the means to produce them. But it really is up to you how you want to play. You don't have to build one of these. You can use big old quarries. You don't even have to engage with EMC. I talk about it being the currency of the world because that's sort of what the entire pack is built around. But you don't have to. If free diamonds aren't for you, you don't have to build one of these. But if you like free things, let's talk about method number 2. Method number 2 involves automating a process that I've been doing over here manually throughout the entire recording, and that is putting blaze rods into a macerator and getting extra EMC out of it. There is a way to automate that, and it involves using a macerator, obviously, a few transportation pipes, which we've got, maybe getting ourselves another assembly table like we built in the last video, which is why I do have this set up over here ready to go, and in fact, it should be, yep, ready to go, so we can flip that on, and we'll see whether or not it works. Yeah, good, good. This method is a bit more, I don't want to call it hacky or cheating or anything like that, but it is a bit more scummy. You're using and abusing the fact that a macerator from one mod has a recipe to give you an additional item that helps you out in another mod, and whether or not you think that's cheating is up to you. I don't think it's cheating because they're genuine mechanics, and if it wasn't intended to be used like this, it could very easily be patched out. We're absolutely going to be using it. But if the solar flower or the power flower was an issue for you, considering that is a thing that is designed to be used in that way, using this hack's going to be a real issue for you. One thing I do want to note is that the Rotary Macerator is a better macerator for this task. It is faster. It does need to be running all of the time, though, which means it is always consuming energy. If it ever stops running, it slows down a lot, and it takes a long time to ramp back up. The way you fix that is by putting a redstone current to it to keep it always running, but then it's always consuming power. You might think that you need scrap metal to make it, which means you need to get a scrap metal chunk, which means you need to get scrap metal inside of a compressor, which means you need to have a recycler. But not so, my friends, because there is a second recipe. There is another. And it uses obsidian blades, which is just obsidian dust, which you can get from your macerator, surrounding flint, which you can get from gravel. Also, actually, I think if you put flint through a macerator... No. I'm thinking rock crusher. You can put cobblestone through a rock crusher and get gravel and flint. A shame we don't know how to power it. So the quarry has now reached bedrock, which is good for me. That's going to be very handy for my future plans. See, I really want this macerator, so we're going to go ahead and grab it, or watch it fall into the abyss. I will set up another quarry in the future. Don't you worry about that. But we need a macerator, and I don't feel like making another one. And then, well, as for all of these, we can run them inside. So we're going to start off by coming over here and undoing what I just did. We're going to take all of this out, take this out as well. We're going to put 64 obsidian in there, and that'll start grinding into obsidian dust. And while that's going, put those back. We did make one obsidian dust a while back. I remember we were going to test to see if it had an EMC value. It did not. If it did at the time, it definitely wouldn't now, as most things don't tend to. Wowzer! We're going to need 14 obsidian blades, and each of those is going to require 8 obsidian dust. That is 112. Okay, then we'll need more than 1 stack of obsidian. While we wait, I'm going to make another transformer so we don't have a repeat of previous incidents. And our macerator running again. So how? Doubts. 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 How? I will forever be singing the praises of these little base upgrades. They are amazing. So we are now going to manufacture our raw obsidian blades. There we go. 16 of the bad boys. We need to combine that with the macerator and the advanced... Ooh, okay. So this could be fun. We've made this before. Carbon plate, I don't think we've ever made, but don't worry, it's not particularly difficult. We just need to go all the way down from having coal dust, which we get by running coal through a macerator. And if you want to save time, you can do this using blocks of coal. And don't worry, I was paying enough attention to realize that we actually need to run these, I believe it said through a compressor. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we will do that now. And we will throw, if we have any around here, we do have some overclocker speed upgrades we can toss in there. And look at that, so it does it in big old chunks of 9, which is fantastic. So I didn't actually do the math on how many of these I would need, but they're quite strange to build. So from the coal dust, we want to make the raw carbon fiber. Raw carbon fiber stacked on top of itself. Well, like I'm just watching myself do that. Raw carbon mesh, which then we want to also run through the compressor when it's done with its obsidian blades. Are we running out of power? Oh, Shrek. Boop. There we go. I was taking all of this down, and I realized I didn't want a single drop of EMC to go to waste. So just got an extra generator, and I don't see any reason why, for the time being, we can't give the whole system a little bit of a boost. I think I'd like to move all of the generators and all power generation into the basement. So we've got our obsidian blades. Now we can start cooking up our raw carbon mesh. Quick note that for this recipe, we only needed 2 carbon plates. So I'm just making up a bunch with the assumption we'll need some in the future. And there are other really cool things you can do with these, including building a nano saber, which is a lot of fun, but also the nano armor. Now there's better armor in the game, but the nano suit looks pretty cool. And then we made the advanced alloy in a previous episode, and the recipe for that is the mixed metal ingots. So get yourself some refined iron, some bronze, and some tin. Put it all together inside of a compressor to get your advanced alloy. And with that, I think the last thing we need is a machine block. Make sure we've got all of this up here and ready to go. That'll give us our advanced machine block. And we can't craft it up here. Oh my gosh. We put our Philosopher's Stone in here, and I guess it no longer has an EMC value either. Why? It's literally from this mod. Why? Why would you take that away? At some point, trying to be true to the original just becomes a bit detrimental to everyone. Okay, tap C, and then we can pull that recipe up here and get ourselves the Rotary Macerator. And I wasn't joking, we're going to want to get a lever to go along with this one. And then I'm realizing now that we left this running and we were not here to collect them when they were done, and it's gone now. Okay, well, the gears is truly the worst defense in my opinion. They're such a pain in the neck to build. Okay, 2 of those, 4 of those. We will just have to be extra mindful this time. Also, I don't know if you noticed it, but our engine up there was stalled. I guess from running without the power going anywhere, which can be quite detrimental to its health. So we're going to want to stick around here for when it's done to turn it off. Fortunately, turning it off and back on seemed to fix the problem. Like most issues in the world, really. Pop. So there we go, we get the 2 of those. Now we have power tap right here, so I think this is where we're going to end up building this. But we want to be mindful of the Rotary Macerator's power limits, and we want to go ahead and throw that transformer in there immediately. Now you've only got a couple of slots for upgrades in this machine, so keep that in mind. Now I'm actually trying to figure out how we want to set this thing up, because we have some options now. Things aren't like they were in Tekkit Classic. We could now hook up the Rotary Macerator, and, I mean, presumably we could put an import upgrade over here, or export upgrade. We don't have to use wooden transport pipes. I think we're going to, but I don't know. Let me think about this for a minute. I'm going to put my condenser behind it. I want this to be a pretty compact setup. The issue here is that we have to have the transformer in there. Otherwise, we could use an import and an export upgrade. If you were running this on a lower power setup, you could totally get by without having the transformer upgrade inside. But we cannot because our machine would blow up. Speaking of, suppose we can go ahead and hook it up to power, and it'll start juicing up. I guess for now, let's keep things simple, and let's use the wooden transport pipes. So we want one coming out of the Rotary Macerator and going into an energy condenser, and then one coming out of the energy condenser and going into the Rotary Macerator. So then what we want to do is we want to have this creating glowstone rods, and then we want to have this churning those bad boys up. Now, you'll notice that it is remarkably slow right now, but speed's only at 1%. As it continues to macerate items, it's going to get a lot faster, and the more power you feed it, well, you can take this pretty far. One thing you got to keep in mind is as soon as it stops macerating, this percentage is going to drop rapidly, and it'll get very slow again, and it'll take a very long time to charge back up. So we're going to put a lever on it, turn it on, and that's going to keep it running, but it will be consuming power that whole time. So let's go ahead and get an energy pulser, and we're going to put it on the front here, and then right-click it to turn it on, and that'll start to remove those. They'll go in here, and they will produce a blaze rod. Now over here, we want to have not a pipe, but our other pulser, pipe pulser. Right-click it, and it'll start pulling the completed rods out and pumping them back into here to be macerated again. So there they go. And then out the other side come the completed blaze rods. This compact little unit, you don't have to use the Rotary Macerator. You can use a regular bog standard macerator if you are so inclined. However, as you can tell, this is way more efficient than what I was doing earlier, running around and doing this all by my lonesome. Now eventually we will run into an issue, and it's gonna be a little ways away from now, but eventually what's going to happen is this is going to fill up on blaze rods, and then it's going to attempt to send some down here, and they're going to fly into oblivion. That is where I think using the basic import upgrade makes a lot of sense. There are other things you could do here. You could have another chest up here where items could go in instead, but then you're going to have an issue where sometimes they go into this chest and sometimes they go in there, and it'll be a bit random. There is a different type of pipe that supports round robin. What is it called, though? Gate-controlled extraction? That might actually be useful. Paints items. What is a wooden diamond? Oh, okay. It's an extraction pipe that also does sorting. Oh, these weren't in here before, were they? Additional pipes. Adds items to adjacent inventories only if they already have that item. Okay, that is amazing. An advanced wooden transport pipe. I already knew about this one. This allows basic item filtering, so if you only want certain items pulled out of an inventory, that's what you'd want to go with. Outputs a configurable ratio of items to each side, so that would be how you would achieve round robin. Ooh, the jeweled transport pipe. Highly capable and configurable sorting pipe. I haven't used a lot of these before. See, now I'm getting excited. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Oh, this could be a lot of fun. But ultimately, it's unnecessary because I think we could get by just fine using a basic import upgrade. So if we right-click, it'll draw in items from the west, which is what we want, because if you look at our minimap, that is the direction the chest is in. So, oh, wowzers. Okay, this is starting to fill up. This could become an issue. In that case, let's go ahead and put in our basic import upgrade. And then we will break this pipe, and we shan't be doing this anymore. So that will eliminate the issue of this filling up with blaze rods and then blaze rods shooting out of the pipe. Now, we need to get those out of there more quickly. I'll be honest with you, the easiest way to do that is to just add a second one of these pipe pulsers, and that'll double the rate at which they're being pulled out of there. But if we have a look at it now, you can see how quickly it is grinding those bad boys up. I'm going to give it a little bit of a hand here so you can really see that crazy speed, and it's only at 63% now. It's consuming a lot of power in the process, but oh yeah, that's what we want to see. See, if we didn't need the transformer upgrade, we could put in our basic export or even a full fat export upgrade, and this would be going so much more efficiently because we wouldn't need this extra pipe over here that is still not keeping up with the speed of the situation. Alright, I just had a wacky idea. Welcome to Wacky Idea Time with Rees. If both of these are running export, is that any faster? Actually, yeah, that does seem to be a bit faster. But still not fast enough, and we're only at 80% speed! We're actually running into an issue with our basic import upgrade. It's not pulling these in fast enough. We might need a full fat import upgrade, because they can do up to a stack at a time, or I think you could actually stack import upgrades, which would be way less efficient and downright silly, all things considered, but let's see what happens. Yeah, we can put 2 of them in there, and it is doubling the rate at which they're being pulled in, but I think that building an import upgrade might be smarter. So right now we have our Rotary Macerator running in the basement, and then we have solar and 1 generator running, and it is able to maintain it. It's fine. It's not going to draw so much power that we can't keep up with our 4 generators. We actually do have a generator in the basement going as well. I forgot about that, but still everything's quite reasonable at the moment. So this is a full fat import upgrade. It requires a basic import upgrade, 2 advanced circuits. We've built plenty of these in our time, and a re-battery. See what kind of chaos we have wrought back here now. I'm going to need 1 of those. So 2 advanced circuits, a regular basic import upgrade, and a re-battery. I think we're going to be good to go. So I'm going to take out our basic import upgrade, replace it with this one, and then I'm going to take out all of the blaze rods, and we're just going to wait and see what happens here. Now, there are plenty of blaze... Oh, you know what? I should probably configure that first, shouldn't I? So we're going to right-click it, yep, from the west, plop it back in there, and immediately we've got a full stack. So I'm no longer concerned with it keeping up, and you can see we're at 100% speed now, and it is moving through them. We need a faster way to get the items out now. One thing we could do is... I mean, we don't really need high voltage coming into this machine. The reason being, this machine, we're not going to put speed upgrades in it. You know, it's going plenty fast as it is, and it really doesn't need more than 32 EU per tick. So instead of using a transformer upgrade, we can just build a transformer. The recipe is simple. Copper cables, copper, any type of wood. I don't even know what we used there. It could have been lime wood, but that'll give us the low voltage transformer. And then from there, we're just going to... I mean, it's going to look ugly. Let's put it up at the top here, because this isn't... I mean, we can change it whenever we want to, but we want to configure it to where it's pointing down, I believe. I think all of the sides are inputs and one side is output. And this is still running, so that does appear to be the case. Oh! Oh, it does look like we're losing power, though. So we can hit Alt to take that out, But having done it now, the Rotary Macerator is slowing down. Maybe it does truly need medium voltage to keep up. Well, in that case, we'll leave that transformer in there. And that was a fun idea, but ultimately, it failed. The reason you do this, by the way, is for what's happening back here right now, where we have more of these than we know what to do with, and each stack of these is worth, I'm sorry, how much? 98,000 EMC per stack? And that's just running down there all of the time? What? Again, if we just used a regular... if we used a regular macerator, we wouldn't be having this problem, but I wanted to do the extra thing. Jeez, it's so much EMC. It's really silly. So something even sillier is happening over here, where it looks like it is going to be generating a whole bunch of these. Now, I wonder what the idea there is. This is like when you have a problem, and, you have something that doesn't move and it should. So you blast it with, like, PB, Precision Blaster, to get it moving. Some people would use WD-40, and that's perfectly fine and reasonable. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but it certainly wouldn't be my lubricating spray of choice. Or, you have something that doesn't move and it should, so you slap some duct tape on it, and you're like, yeah, that works. But you've not actually fixed the problem, not in the right way, and that's more or less what I've done here today, at least what I'm attempting to do. So with 3 of those, we're doing a little bit better, but I need to start seeing gains on this going down. Actually, it looks like right now, we're almost keeping up with it. It is gaining on it, though. So the problem that we might see occur here is once this is full, these pipes are still going to be extracting out of there. So eventually, we're going to need to find a better way to move these around. Red power might be an option because they do have just an objectively better means of moving items around. The other would be that we just add another condenser, and instead of generating blaze rods, it generates like something bigger, like diamonds or red matter. Anyway, let's add a second one of these and hit it and confirm that it actually goes faster. Let's see. It doesn't. I thought for sure that it did. I thought adding 2 to one side would make it go even faster. I'm almost positive. Oh, okay, well, when you add 3, it definitely does. Maybe you can't add them to the ends? That's not true, because that's how we have the one underneath here running. That's done it, though. It's finally done it. We now have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pulsers across 3 wooden pipes, and now it's finally keeping up. That is absurd, and I don't recommend it. I need to find a better method. It does work, though. It does technically work, and it's not like these are difficult to get. The assembly table and the laser we built in the last episode, if you're using a regular macerator and you're not putting a bunch of overclocker upgrades in there, then this is even more unnecessary. So let's actually do that. Let's get another condenser, and let's get a dark matter block. And some more marble, because I made some holes in the floors. So we can just put our other condenser right in front of this one. We can get some golden pipes, set it up like so, and it should just randomly distribute them. Although, the other option would be that we use one of those really cool pipes we saw earlier to configure the ratio, and then if we wanted to be super pedantic about it, if that's the right use of that word, then we could figure out exactly how many we need to go into this condenser to maintain a constant supply from the macerator. And we can configure it like, oh yes, every 1 of 6 goes in here, and every 5 of 6 goes in here, and it all runs perfectly. And I might end up doing that. Not today. Not today. But we now got the, So we got the blaze powder coming into here. And the other way to do this would actually be to instead, because this problem's not going to go away, maybe we add a pipe to the top. This is getting a little silly. And then we get a pipe pulser, and we slap that on there, on the front, and that'll start pulling out some of those rods. Now, is that going to... I'm going to have to keep an eye on this system and make sure it all is perfectly balanced, because the last thing I would want is for the Rotary Macerator to run out of, although I don't think it's going to run out of blaze rods. We got to keep a perfect balance, and it actually looks like we're almost there. It looks like as of right now, this is slowly crawling up, but then this is also slowly crawling down. So we may have reached almost perfect equilibrium here if this would just stop going up. And maybe adding one more pipe pulser to the setup would do the job. I do love that this has been the solution we found, is to just stack pipe pulsers. What fun times we're having right now. And we've already got a dark matter out of the deal. Have you produced a dark matter? I don't think so. Look, we haven't come out of here to get one of these, I don't think, since we started this project. And in that time, it's created 18 diamonds? That's worth 147,000 EMC. It's not bad, you know? It's not the 278,000 that are 2 dark matter. Look how quickly this is going. This is insane. And this is still gaining rods too quickly. So a third button might be in order. This... I wish you could see my face. I'm so happy right now. This, to me, is what Tekkit is all about. This is peak Tekkit. It's not the massive quarries. It's not the big buildings or any of that. To me, peak pure Tekkit is all about making just obscene EMC generator setups and tinkering with them until they're perfect. So I'm watching it now and I'm trying to see whether or not this one goes over 26 or drops down, because we don't want it to do either. So as of right now, we've got 4 on here, we got 3 on here, 3 on here, and then 1 on the bottom, and it's still going up a bit. It's still going up, but it's going up more slowly, and we're rolling in the dark matter. That is, we almost have 1 million EMC down here. You know, I guess if we threw those diamonds that we got from over there, that could be something. Now, there's another way to set this up where you actually use it in conjunction with a power flower or solar flower. So instead of having diamonds being made in here, you have Blazerods being made, and then they get piped out directly into a macerator, and then that macerator goes out directly to an energy condenser. And that simplifies the process a lot, because you're not doing this, where you're moving items around constantly and trying to maintain this perfect balance and realizing you've not quite managed it, but ooh, you're so close and it's a lot of fun, and this is more fun, obviously. That system has its advantages, you know. Like I say, you don't have item rotation like this. What you end up having is items coming out of a condenser into a macerator, out of the macerator into a condenser, and that's it. Nothing ever has to go backwards. It'd be a slower setup, to be sure, but it would be better than having just a solar flower or power flower by itself. It would be more efficient because you're getting that ground up blaze powder bonus, and you know the benefit over this system is that it's just a lot simpler to operate, and you're not doing things like, well, like having 12 pulsers going, or however many we have right now. 11. I did the math in my head. There's 11 pipe pulsers going right now, and I think if we got it to 12, if we somehow squeezed one more on up top here, it would be perfect, but there's literally nowhere else to put it. Oh, Shrek me, you know what we didn't do? Tell you what we didn't do. We didn't hook up this one down here. Will that be the balancing factor we've been waiting for? How long can we hold 30? Come on, baby! Oh, actually, well, whatever. And there, folks, over the course of the last 2 hours and 28 minutes, I hope that I've given you a brief and quick demonstration of how you can break the game by generating matter basically for free. We're not doing anything. It's mostly the sun. The sun, and in this case a block of glowstone, is providing light to our energy condensers, which is being condensed down into matter, which is pretty cool. And then this is just abusing game mechanics, but in the best possible way, to get an absolutely ridiculous outcome. Look, we don't really need all of these in here. This is unnecessary, so we can just come down here, we can pull some of these out. We'll come around here, and we'll toss them all in there, and we'll just watch that stack of dark matter. Get that stack of dark matter. This is going to take a while. What if we took all of this, and we just kind of headed out up top here? We really need to get another transmutation table down below. So just add these in there, and then... Oh! Baby! We updated to the Zwei a while ago, and then I had to go back to the Ein because we could not maintain the charge in the Zwei, and we always needed that EMC, so I always just went back down a tier, but I mean, now we might be ready to go straight on to a Dre. Look at that. It doesn't even use up all of our EMC. Man, what if we actually went up one more level? I mean, these are expensive, but you see the rate at which we're just making... I mean, what we've effectively done is we found a tree that grows money and we put it in our basement. What we've effectively done here... Oh, that doesn't quite fill it all the way up. Oh, well, it's fine. We'll be able to soon enough. Oh, we're basically printing EMC, which is the currency of the world. We're printing money down here. And it's amazing. And it stopped running because I took all of the blaze rods out and severely crippled the system. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't think about the consequences of my actions. I should have realized that taking literally all of them out would have broken it. Yeah, okay, I think my actions actually in some way restored balance to the machine without the necessity of any of these pipe pulsers up here running. Because now it's maintaining 46 to 47 perfectly. Okay, a little bit of a drop there, so maybe not quite perfectly. But still, again, I think sitting down and really balancing how many blaze rods go into here versus go into here is going to be the secret to getting this working perfectly. So I'm going to do some maths and figure that out for next time. Speaking of next time, the frick are you doing down here, sir? Get out of here. Was it just dark enough up here for you to spawn? Oh, you little minx. We will simply get some more... Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Don't you tell me you got rid of the EMC value. You son of a bitch! Well, folks, it's a new day, and in fact, it's the next day since I recorded that video. Welcome back to another post-credit appendices epilogue, where today I received a comment that completely changes this setup. And I'm going to read it for you here in a minute. Real quickly, I did do a little bit more testing, and I did find that actually this setup makes like way more sense. Don't put the dust into this one. That was dumb from the beginning. Instead, what you can do, and this has been perfectly balanced, and I've been watching it now for about 15 minutes, and it's running perfectly. So all I've got is all of these firing off, however many pulsers it takes to make sure you keep this thing empty, going into here to create more of these, and this has been locked at 54, and this has been shooting all the way up to 63, and then back down to like 60, and then it's in perfect balance. Up at the top here, we have a wooden transport pipe, and we have 1, 2, 3 pipe pulsers. And I mean, look at how quickly that's moving across there. So it's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. But now, for the comment that blew this whole thing wide open. This was a revelation to me. So this is from Wobbles, or WO88LES. I'm assuming it's supposed to be like Wobbles, or Whoa88els. Who can say? Hi, I'm new to your series. I'm not sure if you spotted, but for IC2 upgrades, there is an upgrade pouch which holds 3 upgrades. That can then be placed in a Macerator upgrade slot, allowing up to 12 stacks of upgrades, if you understand how I mean. And I absolutely understand how you mean, Wobbles. Sir or madam, you are a wonderful individual, and I love you with all of my heart, alright? You've changed everything. So I looked the item up. It's actually called the Upgrade Container, and initially I didn't believe. I found myself questioning whether or not something like this could even exist in the world, or whether or not the world was too dark and cold and cruel a place for such a magnificent item to exist. So I opened it up in my test world, my big super flat test world, and yeah, this is the real deal. I know it doesn't seem like I have a test world, based on how a lot of these end in just frustration, confusion, and misery, but that's because I don't use the test world very often. I go in with complete confidence, and only when I'm filming do I realize that I was wrong. So in order to build this, we will need iridium plate. Now this is the issue. Iridium ore requires UU matter. UU matter requires... I'm sorry? Okay, well, for whatever reason, this is bugged and telling me that I need a created UU matter and a carpenter. Something weird's going on here. The mass fabricator. And generally a lot of energy. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 166,666 EU. We're not generating that kind of juice right now. It's not a matter of being able to build this. We could build it. It's just, it's unattainable right now. However, I wanted you to know that it existed, and that thanks to wobbles. Let me see you wobble. You know the song. That it is feasibly possible that we could manufacture one of these upgrade containers if we just, generate some UU matter in the future. And we could use that to fit both an import upgrade and an export upgrade into this pouch, into this one slot, have our transformer, and do all of this without pipes. That is something to work toward. That is a reason to build a nuclear generator, as far as I'm concerned. And the prospect is exciting, but this is still holding rock solid stable. So if you want to build something like this and you don't have access to UU matter, however many wooden pipes and however many pipe pulsers you need, in this case I'm using 2, so I got rid of the one on the bottom. I'm using 2 wooden transport pipes with a total of 6 pipe pulsers, and if I needed to, I could get underneath there and add more, but oop. Yeah, looks like we're maintaining pretty steady. And then that's all going into one energy condenser, creating the blaze rods. And you don't have to have a second energy condenser. You can just be proactive about coming over here and taking blaze rods out and literally never have to worry about it. It'll be completely fine. What the heck? This is one thing I've noticed, is when I take blaze rods out, it messes up the equilibrium of the machine. And I have to, turn a couple of these back off until it stabilizes again. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why that happens. But once you get this and then maybe one more stack of blaze rods, what you do is you put yourself a wooden transport pipe up there, and then however many pipe pulsers. For me, once it gets stabilized, 3 pipe pulsers creates a perfectly fluid, in sync, dumping them into here, making dark matter. That's 3 million EMC right there, baby. Something else that I did was I logged on to the Discord for the mod pack, and I casually asked, I was like, hey, is it possible to add an EMC value for basalt and limestone? And apparently now, in New World Generation, these items will have an EMC value, but I guess if you have previous versions, they won't, unless you go in and you change them from the chisel version, I suppose, to the quirk version, which apparently works for, okay, so yeah, Project Red Basalt. So what I was told is if you go in here and you chisel all of these, they will now have an EMC value. And apparently, in new worlds, with fresh world gen, or if you go to new chunks in version 1.0.3, those will also have an EMC value. Obviously, it's not going to work retroactively, because all of these chunks have already been generated around me, but it's better than having just a bunch of limestone sitting around that I'm not really planning on using at all. To just very quickly, you can also just make it into the quark limestone, which I guess is what is natural in World Gem now. So just swap it all out, and it can be condensed. This might apply to other blocks as well. I've only really been finding a lot of limestone and basalt around here, so I don't know if it applies to others, but if you have any other blocks that are sitting around that don't have an EMC value, it might be worth throwing them into the diamond chisel and seeing whether or not you can get those, get some EMC value out of those. Finally, I wanted to demonstrate how much power our macerator consumes by itself. So none of the generators are running, not the 3 up here, not the one in the basement. It's completely dark outside, so if there's any power coming from the solar panel, it's very minimal. And this is the type of power draw we're getting from that macerator in the basement running at full speed. Now, that macerator in the basement running at full speed, being the only thing that's running, and I suppose this is also drawing a little bit of power, it is, it's doing good work right now. You know what I mean? It's fine. It's producing... Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. See how if you leave it alone for a bit, and you get, an extra stack in there, everything stabilizes? I don't know why. But just leave these alone now, and this will never tick up. I'm telling you, this is the magic number. Assuming everything else in your setup is the same. If you're using a regular macerator or different pipes or any number of other things, it might be slightly different for you. But yeah, I haven't counted it, but this thing is producing enough dark matter at a fast enough rate that I could just go make stacks and stacks of Aeternalis fuel blocks and use that to keep the macerator powered. Energy is no longer an issue for us, except in the fact that we're not generating enough quickly enough. So I could go build 40 generators and keep them all running off of 8 Ornalis fuel blocks. Or I could do the more sensible thing and build a nuclear generator, which I plan on doing. But that's all I wanted to say for now. I just wanted to get on here and let everyone know those 2 quick facts, as well as see that I've kind of got that figured out. We're going to be working towards building one of these. We can get rid of this stuff up here. It's no longer necessary. But we're going to be working towards this in the future. And next episode, we're going to be making preparations for something very exciting and hoping that no miners slash dock workers slash whatever that is show up. Okay, bye. Oh, also, actually, no, we're doing this one more time. I'm preparing to do an episode, probably episode 11 or 12, where I just go through the wealth of comments that I have received from you fine folks and address a lot of them. There's been a lot of really good stuff suggested in there, a lot of really good tips and information shared, so I'm going to be addressing all of that. Okay, bye.